inspired by a similar post on Ask Women. I am curious because I don't understand why lying would be necessary. Story 1. This was something my best friend once said to a girl in college who kept bothering him while he was dating her friend. He said, "Do you ever look at a guy and think, that guy is really good looking? I feel like I have no chance with him, even if he's a celebrity." She replied, "Yeah, I guess." He continued, "I may not be that good looking, but put me in that category." Story 2. I once told a woman I still wasn't over my ex and didn't know if I ever would be. It worked like a charm so well that I have used it several other times. It doesn't hurt if you won't let them play music, because every song reminds you of her. Story 3. There is no need to lie or play the victim. They usually leave you alone after that. I learned this from the story of Robert Pattinson and his stalker. I have used it myself when I started seeing a woman like me, and it worked like a charm. Story 4. Let her know I'm broke. I'm not really looking for a commitment right now. My second cousin's hamster died when I was in 6th grade. Between that and September 11th, I'm doing a lot of processing. Don't worry, we can still be together. Story 5. I am poor. I am going to bed. I am married. I have a girlfriend. I do not speak English. I have a headache. Story 6. I once told a girl at the bar who was bothering me that I was gay and not interested. She called me an offensive name and walked away. Mission accomplished. Story 7. My best friend once told a junior he was dating during his freshman year that he was confused about himself to break up with her. Story 8. A girl was head over heels, and here we refer to it as acting out like you are the last biscuit in the package. I sent her a video of someone on the street philosophizing, if she acts like she is the last biscuit in the package, that means you have to eat all the others before it's her turn. Story 9. I was fit and good-looking when I was young, and though I'm sure it didn't happen as much to me as to many women, there were times when one person wouldn't leave me alone. I told one person I have a micropenis after she asked if it was big, and she replied that she would have to see it to believe it. Saying I had a girlfriend didn't make a difference. In fact, it seemed to make it a challenge for some. But the response that worked best was simply, "Sorry, I'm gay," until they decided they wanted to hang out and check out guys together. So it became, "I'm gay and have a boyfriend." Story 10. I am a divorced 44-year-old man with 2 teenage children. I have a few female friends that I see occasionally, but nothing resembling a serious girlfriend situation. Sometimes I mention that my children are coming over to prompt the woman to leave my place or as an excuse for not being able to see her on a particular evening. Story 11. I am not interested. Please leave me alone. If that doesn't work, please stay away from me. Story 12. I only participate if they are persistent. When they ask why I won't engage with them, I reply, because I have standards. It's harsh, I know, but I only respond if they don't accept my refusal the first time. I don't like being pursued, and I want to remain single. I don't want anyone interfering in my life, so I decline all advances. Story 13. I have a memory from 14 years ago. A girl I was friends with fell in love with me. In hindsight, we were essentially dating and had been intimate, but I didn't see it that way. The reason? My friends influenced me negatively. Without diving into a lengthy story about what occurred with my friends, when she revealed her true feelings, I said I wasn't interested. Truthfully, I was, but I didn't know how to communicate it. And I could hear my friends questioning, "Why would you be with her?" Watching her cry for the next 30 minutes in the car while we sat in silence was one of the worst experiences of my life, and I felt terrible, but I couldn't change my response. I shed a few tears afterward. Now, I've learned to be brutally honest. Story 14. I'm not a man, but regarding the comment about not understanding why a woman might lie to a man to get them to leave her alone, there is a concerning statistic that explains why they might lie if a man is bothering them. It is very common for older or unwell strangers to approach and harass us, and we often say things like, "My friend is about to pick me up," to get out of the situation. Story 15. Weird dynamics have occurred in a few jobs. When I appear disinterested and professional, some people want me more. It seems they want to break my professionalism. When it gets overwhelming, I act as though I find them captivating and attractive. Eventually, they perceive me as desperate and lose interest. Story 16. I just tell them I'm bisexual and that usually works. Sometimes I have to kiss a guy to prove it. Story 17. I don't. I simply, phrasing it politely, tell them I'm not interested. Most women can accept no for an answer, largely because they often have to deal with men who do not know how to accept it for an answer. Story 18. I just pull a Robert Pattinson and start complaining about life. I've been with my partner for 14 years and have no real interest in other women. So if I notice more attention than I want, I just turn the volume up. It works every time. Story 19. I work security at a small live music venue. I often receive advances from women I find unattractive, especially those who are drunk. My go-to response is that I have a partner. However, if they suspect that I don't, I say I'm just doing my own thing at the moment, even though I'm actually open to a relationship with someone compatible if they come along. The reason I lie is that if I find someone unattractive, I don't want to tell them that's the reason and make them feel bad. If they are happier thinking I'm not an option because of my reasons rather than theirs, I don't mind. Story 20. I had a friend who introduced me to larger friends. I told her to say I've been unemployed for 6 months, live in my mom's basement, and have some assault charges from ex-girlfriends. One woman didn't care. She wanted an Arabian Night. Story 21. A few years ago, I met a girl who was persistently pursuing me, even after I expressed my lack of interest. I told her that I have a condition that causes me to experience severe digestive issues during intimate moments. That was the only time I told such a blatant lie. Story 22. I actually just tell them the truth to get them to leave me alone. I am not a murderer. Technically true, but nobody sticks around to find out. I am only interested in you for sex, and just once. This lets them leave me alone while appreciating the honesty. Story 23. I have never lied to a woman just because she is interested in me. It is the ultimate compliment, and I appreciate it more than any other sentiment. If I were single, I would date them for a while and let them discover my attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder and annoying personality on their own. If I were seeing someone, I would have a genuine conversation and tell them it is such an honor to be held in high regard in their eyes, and I think they are absolutely lovely and gorgeous themselves. However, I would never go behind my girlfriend or wife's back, as I am sure they would not want me to if they were my girlfriend or wife. I have too much respect for another human being to push them away, especially one who is actively complimenting me, and I will gladly hang out and be their friend. If they cross any lines in physical contact, I tell them so, and if it persists, I inform them we cannot be friends in that way. A quick hug, hello, and goodbye, or whenever it is appropriate, such as after a hockey match goal or birthdays, is sufficient. A peck on the cheek is fine for hello and goodbye hugs. I was raised by a single mother, and I think that is the reason I always gravitate toward friendships with the opposite sex. But when your friends are 3-to-1 female versus male, such situations occasionally arise for several reasons, such as experiencing a very emotional time, fluctuating hormones, or just having been dumped. They may seek affection but misunderstand friendly nurturing for a romantic interest. Thus far, these situations have always passed fairly quickly, and we return to normal. Story 24. I don't lie. I just say it clearly and directly. We won't work out. You will not be happy with me. I am not interested. This will not turn into a long-term relationship for me. You told me what you want in a relationship, and I am not willing to do all that. So you can either accept that now and avoid a relationship, or you will be frustrated with me. This does not work for me, and I want to stay available for the right person. Story 25. If you were trying to break up with someone, be direct about it. I was seeing a girl for a few months whom I liked, but I realized it would not work out long-term. So I told her. She was taken aback by my decision, but we talked through it, and we are fine. Story 26. I don't lie. I just speak to them. Leave me alone. Straightforward and direct communication. That's basic. Story 27. I have never needed to do that. I had to block a woman once because she would not leave me alone after making me feel guilty about sleeping with her without protection when I was not comfortable with it. She continued to text me when I asked for some time to think about it afterward. I did not feel the need to lie to her. I simply laid out my boundaries, and when she violated them, I blocked her. Story 28. I just act a bit clueless. If I found a guy, I would want a friends with benefits arrangement, nothing serious. Yeah, that sounds great. If I found a woman who wanted something like that, that would be nice. Being emotionally available usually works faster than that, though. Story 29. I don't have to lie. I just pretend I'm naive until either they stop hinting at it or directly state it. Then, I have to outright reject them in a non-hurtful way. It may be controversial, but I believe women often feel more pain from rejection. Most men become accustomed to it and simply do not care. Many women have never faced rejection, so it can come as a shock to their ego. Some may even call you gay, while others may understand and move on. Story 30. My only real hobby is the gym, where I sit between sets with earbuds in, looking as unapproachable as possible. Women do not talk to me. Story 31. I told her that, while I appreciate that she thinks so highly of me, I need to let her know that I do not share the same romantic feelings for her. She needs to stop wasting her time on me and should move on to find someone who reciprocates her feelings. Unfortunately, it is not going to happen. Story 32. If someone is making unwanted advances towards me, I would say that I have herpes, which is true. If that doesn't work, I would mention that I had a vasectomy. Story 33. Yes, ma'am. Once I am done with this, I will get right on that. The computer indicates that the parts are available, but I could not locate them. Sorry. Story 34. It seems that saying no, thank you, or expressing disinterest can anger them, even if it's politely stated. If they don't speak English, they may walk away. Story 35. The same reasons for lying to get a man away would be necessary. Sorry, I have a boyfriend, is said about 73 times a night by women at bars everywhere. Story 36. I tell them I am driving a 1995 Civic with 350,000 miles on it. The passenger window does not roll down. I lost my job as a bathroom attendant a few days ago. Story 37. No need to lie. Just be your genuinely good self. Share your insecurities with her. Avoid putting her on a pedestal, as that can drive any woman away. Story 38. At work, I received a ticket to go. I have noticed several men use compliments like "you look great" for their significant other when they actually dislike her appearance after she makes specific changes, including wanting and getting plastic surgery. I have been quite direct about this. Some people can handle it, while others became upset. For example, one person transitioned from long burgundy hair to a short bob that is a very light pink. My response was simply, "It's your hair." Story 39. I have never had a woman who did not leave me alone after I rejected her. I have only rejected a few women, one of whom was a friend, but we remained friends, so I suppose they did not entirely leave me alone in that sense. Story 40. You don't need to lie. A good fart does the job quite well. You can escalate to nose picking, scratching yourself, or just have a spirited argument with an imaginary friend. Story 41. I told a woman who loved me and constantly clung to me that I loved her too. After that, she left me alone for 1.5 years. Eventually, she contacted me, hoping I was safe and asking me not to text her back. This was during the invasion of Ukraine. I live in Belgium. She reached out again 2 months later to inform me that an old friend of mine had died in that war and again requested that I not text her back. So, if you tell someone you love them, they often leave you alone. Story 42. No need to lie. American women already cannot handle the truth. I am just honest and blunt, or I simply ignore them. It is easy. Story 43. I tell them I am extremely hungover and act accordingly. I have experienced hangovers enough to know how to behave, even though I am not actually hungover. It works like a charm because nobody approaches someone who appears to be feeling unwell. Story 44. Lying sometimes prevents unpleasant situations. Some truths are not as persuasive as certain lies. When you want someone to leave you alone, you wish for it to happen immediately, without drama. Story 45. You unravel the mystery of what attracts her to you and diminish the emotion by making it seem obvious. Burden her with current affairs, social norms, responsibilities, and expectations that fall onto your shoulders. Let her know that we have reasons for our decisions, and if it's the girl who is making efforts to meet, there is a good chance he is a great guy. This side of men, which is rarely discussed even among men, would be too much for someone who expected no more than a fun time. This would intimidate her, and nothing causes her to feel emptiness more than fear. Story 46. I express my expectations clearly, and anything less than that is settling. Story 47. I don't lie to them. I just politely let them know that I am not interested in relationships. They seem to accept it. Honesty is the best policy. Story 48. I end the conversation and do not start new ones, or I inform them that I do not intend to speak with them again. Story 49. Being a pansexual femboy serves as an effective deterrent to women on its own. Story 50. I'm not overly confident. I'm not very attractive, and at best I fit in with the average crowd, so women always leave me alone, and honestly, I don't mind anymore. Story 51. Being myself seems to work fairly well. On a serious note, I work in sales and present a carefully crafted story about my personal life to relate to customers. Usually, I let them perceive that behavior, and they become concerned when they find out I have no children, spouse, or pets. I have created a detailed fabricated life for work and tell the story in the same way each time. Most people become quite worried when they realize I have memorized and can discuss years' worth of a fictional life. Story 52. It's the other way around. I don't tell lies. I start being decent and respectful, which often causes them to become disrespectful immediately. It's an unconscious mechanism for me that leads to this outcome. Apparently, some women prefer to be treated poorly. As soon as someone becomes disrespectful or unresponsive, I choose to end the connection because I don't need anyone who doesn't prioritize me. Story 53. Why would I lie? If I want to be left alone, I just ask someone to leave me alone. If they persist, then I tell them to go away in a more aggressive tone. Story 54. I told my still lawfully wedded wife that I didn't want to cheat on my girlfriend, and that seemed to do the trick. To clarify, we were divorcing because I caught her cheating. Story 55. I try my best to avoid those who are clingy. Otherwise, my natural tendency to be alone serves me well. Story 56. I don't lie. I just increase the intensity. If she is bothering me and messaging me inappropriately, I make it very intense and emphasize the deep connection aspect. I suggest that being intimate will bring us much closer together for a long time. I start giving off feelings of commitment, and they tend to distance themselves or leave me alone quickly. Story 57. I really don't understand why anyone would have to lie in this case. How hard is it to just say they are not interested if they do not want to be bothered? I understand that it takes courage, but all this guessing and dating is rather strange. Story 58. I don't lie. I just say, I prefer you didn't touch me. Or, I would rather not shake your hand. I don't care if women like me at all, particularly those with bright pink hair. Story 59. You don't have to speak. If you stand there motionless in silence, they will lose interest quickly. Story 60. Slowly pull away until they give up or cut off contact completely. Not every woman understands or wants to accept the truth. Story 61. I don't engage. I just ignore them or ask them to leave me alone. This usually makes them upset for a while, but at least I was honest. Story 62. I'm fine. Most often, this statement is actually true, but occasionally it is false. There are several reasons why it might be untrue. I am not willing to reveal something that could be used against me later. I do not want to engage in a discussion about who has it worse. I do not want the situation to reverse where I suddenly have to comfort someone else while still dealing with my own issues. Story 63. I have to wash my hair because my boyfriend is meeting me here. I don't eat dinner. All the standards. Story 64. I ignore people. I pretend they are not there, and they will often be too intimidated to talk to you in the first place. Story 65. Are you serious? People talk about it in the post because sometimes men won't leave you alone after you say no. This is really tone deaf. Story 66. Why would I lie? I need to be alone. If people cannot handle the truth, I remove them from my life. Some women lie because it is their first instinct. They lie to everyone all the time and deceive themselves most of all. They lie so much that they are not even fully aware they are lying half the time. Story 67. If she is not attractive or not my type, I might tell her I am taken when I am not, but other than that, it is not a big deal. Story 68. I was involved in a car accident. I hit a family of 4 while speeding in a residential area. I know what you think, but it wasn't my fault at all. I didn't know this car well. I just took it. Also, drugs distort perception of distance. Luckily, I got out of it before the police were called. Anyway, would you like to go on a date? Story 69. I don't tell lies. I communicate directly and politely what I want. If that doesn't work, I express my message again but louder. If that still doesn't work, I repeat myself in front of their friends, family, or coworkers. And if that continues to be ineffective, I contact law enforcement to document the situation and seek a restraining order. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.